Good afternoon, or good evening, or perhaps good morning, depending on where you are, and welcome to another live stream of The Angry Astronaut. I appreciate you folks joining me today on this particular topic that was kind of occupying the most important things that were being announced very recently until the story came out about the Pentagon releasing their UFO report. That just came out a very short time ago. So lots of stuff to talk about right now. I, of course, have not had a chance to look all about the anything about the UFO report from the Pentagon. All I know is that they're not ruling out the possibility of an extraterrestrial cause. And hello to everyone, by the way. Special shout out to Static Fire Gal, who's involved with Total Space. A very good channel that I strongly recommend that you folks head on over to and subscribe. So really glad that you guys are joining me for our discussion about space tourism. And tomorrow I will be leaving for California. So I am going to be a very busy person. I am hoping that I'll be able to get a little bit of inside stuff from Scaled Composites, who are the folks who manufacture Spaceship Two or the VSS Unity. We'll see. But at the very least, I plan to be filming Virgin Orbit as they take off and as they are winging their way towards a release point for their Launcher One rocket. And then at that point, the feed, if everything goes well, the feed will then transfer over to Virgin Orbit speed, and you'll be able to see things from the aspect of the 747. So you'll get it from the beginning when it's taxiing along the runway, when it's getting into position, that sort of thing, all the way to the launch, and hopefully for Launcher One to make its way into orbit. And even though Virgin Orbit is not in the business of space tourism, this launch is still going to be very important for Virgin Galactic, obviously because it's the same people, and it's a very similar launch system. Obviously, VSS Unity, it doesn't use the same carrier aircraft. Obviously, it's not the same ship, but it's the same principle. So if Virgin Orbit's launch goes off without a hitch, they deploy all of those very important satellites, here in a couple of days, then it's going to add further credibility to to their ship being workable, to the viability of their space tourism system. If they have a problem with it, then it's going to make people question things. I guarantee that Virgin Galactic stock will either go up or down depending on how the Virgin Orbit launch goes. Those two are kind of linked together. And yes, that was the main reason the space strategist made a comment about how we have FAA approval for Virgin Galactic. We do indeed. And so, the FAA has said that that Spaceship Two, that the VSS Unity is safe for passenger transport. So that is a big deal. They have analyzed this thoroughly, and they think that the public can go up on it. That does not mean that the next launch is going to have paying passengers. Richard Branson's intention is to have at least one more test flight that he will personally be on. Unlike Bezos, he's not going to be sharing the rocket with paying passengers and, in my opinion, stealing their thunder. Instead, he'll be on that ship with test pilots and employees, and then the next group that go up are going to be all paying customers, and he won't be on that flight. To me, that makes a bigger deal because, in my opinion, the person going up on the first launch, Shepard, is losing a lot of their thunder to the fact that Jeff is on the same flight. I mean, if they were hoping to get some kind of commercial advantage out of, maybe filming their experience and using it for a commercial for whatever business they own or something, a lot of attention is going to be taken away from that in order to in order to focus on Jeff. I think that the media is going to be a lot more focused on him than they're going to be focused on whoever this mystery person is. Now, maybe not, but I just have a feeling that that's, the guy who's going to be getting the majority of the interviews. And if, Jeff wasn't going on the flight, then it would be all about this first passenger. The story would be exclusively about him. And so I personally, I don't understand why somebody is sinking $28 million is my understanding as to how much it is. You could go to orbit for that. You could go to the ISS for that. So it's kind of crazy. It is kind of nuts. So we'll see how all of that goes. But yeah, it is an interesting situation that's developing, of course. And I think that, here's why space tourism matters. It matters from a capital perspective. Whoever dominates this market, whether it be Virgin Galactic or if it's Blue Origin or if it's both, they're both going to be earning additional capital, which can then be used for developing things that are more important. In the case of Virgin Galactic, we'd be talking about suborbital travel from one point on the planet to another. That is a huge thing. That is, going from LA to London in a couple of hours or something like that, traveling through space in the process. That is their long-term goal for Spaceship 3. So, and Blue Origin, of course, any money they make off of this, well, it's going to be pretty important because they're not really making any money off of anybody else unless they get the $10 billion Bezos bailout, as it's called. So, yeah, it is, if you could, I don't understand the 28 million at all. But going on Virgin Galactic for a couple $100,000, that would be fantastic. It really would be an amazing thing. By the way, I've just been reminded that 100,000 people have signed the petition for Jeff Bezos to not come back to Earth. That should give people a pretty strong impression of just how seriously, and by the way, just for fun, I signed that petition, but, I don't seriously want anything to happen to him, obviously, but at the same time, it kind of shows, where his popularity is versus where Elon's popularity is. I think if Elon were personally going up on a flight, or if Sir Richard Branson is going up a flight, I don't think that they would be getting 100,000 signatures saying, don't let this person come back to Earth. I mean, Elon has some haters, so he might get some. I can't imagine Sir Richard Branson getting much of anything. Some people hate him, but not very many. He's just not in the media spotlight as, somebody who's despised not only for being rich, but also for paying as little in the way of taxes that he does. It's just the way things work out. There are lots of ways to write off taxes in this country, and lots of ways that a business owner, especially if they have quite a lot of money in their business, can write off virtually all of their taxes if they're clever about it. And it's wrong. It's messed up. Everybody should be paying the same taxes, in my opinion. I'm not going to get into the politics of the whole thing, but I just think it's wrong that a multi-billionaire should be paying less in taxes than I do. I just, that seems wrong to me. Okay. So yeah, 20 million people should sign. That would be a good thing. I am checking the live stream Q&A as well, by the way, for my Discord/Patreon supporters. I've got your stuff on here too. Let's have a look and see what we have in terms of recent questions and that sort of thing. Nothing coming up just yet. Just so you know, those of my Patreon supporters who are contributing, go to the live stream Q&A on Discord if you want to ask questions there. It's fine to me, as fine, as far as I'm concerned. And one of a couple of reminders, of course, I will give to you folks. Oh yeah, another thing to you can be a Patreon supporter for as little as 75 cents a week. Somebody just reminded me to mention that. So being a Patreon supporter is not a big investment, and you gotta get a lot of benefits. That some of you folks may have noticed last week that I did a Patreon only discussion where I had about 20 people online with me, and we were having a discussion about issues regarding to spaceflight, and we're going to be doing that on a very regular basis. So, and I'll tell you, it will go to a good cause, because going to California and staying there for as long as I have to is not a cheap thing to do. So any support I can get, obviously, is deeply appreciated, or just a subscribe and a like, and turn your notification bells on, and I'll be happy about all that too. So yeah. Yeah, it's yeah, by all means, I'm glad that some folks don't know about the petition. Yeah, it actually made national news on the Associated Press. That's how I found out about it. It is actually a topic that's being discussed outside of the field of spaceflight, and the fact that we have so many people signing in. Yeah, I was one of the early signers. A lot of other folks signed it earlier than I did. Obviously, it already had like 30,000 signers rather by the time I signed, so it was already a popular petition by the time I even found out about it on the national news. There should be let's see, a law where you put something up and have to bring 2 pieces of space junk back. That's a good idea. If you go up on space tourism, there has to be a space junk retrieval part of the tourism. Unfortunately, suborbital, there's nothing really in suborbital space to grab. But yeah, I mean, why not make a space tourism mission, have a space junk retrieval part of it? Just, I mean, they've had things like nets dragging through LEO and that sort of thing. You might be able to grab something on the way, and have it burn up in reentry. There's a lot of cool stuff going on as far as that's concerned. I hope you guys, by the way, are enjoying the new format. I know I've been doing it for a little while now, but this is all due to the support of my friend in Yorkshire, my supporter in Yorkshire, ASN. He really does an awesome job. So thank you very much across the bond. A lot of love, because I'll tell you, I couldn't do this myself. Okay, so I think everybody knows what my opinion is. I'm curious though, if you were a millionaire, if you had the money to spend, would you go up on New Shepard? Now, let's say that Virgin Galactic isn't available. Ooh, we're having some sort of image issue, I think, but I'm not positive. We're working on that now. I hope you can still hear me at least. But we may have a bit of an image issue at the moment. We're working on that right now. In any event, but I will I'll at least ask the question. Do you feel that you would go up? First of all, can I be heard? I guess that's a big question. Can you hear me? If so, then answer this question. If you were a millionaire, would you invest the money to go up on New Shepard? If it was, say, $400,000, would you go up on New Shepard? Just curious about everybody's opinion on this. And like I say, don't be shy. Yes or no? Would you go up on New Shepard if you had the money to spare, or would you not? Yes. We got one. Yes, we would. Okay, so folks would go, it looks like. Yep. We're getting a lot of positive answers. So yeah, if there wasn't another option from Virgin Galactic, then yeah, people, we are getting some no's in here as well. Some people are saying that they wouldn't. And just so you know, as much as I love space, I'm actually one of those no votes. And the reason for that is that I honestly think that 3 minutes in microgravity is not worth it for a 10-minute experience. I think Virgin Galactic, that's more like a roller coaster because you're going up and then coming down in a steep gliding pattern, which would take far longer. The descent, at least, would be a very long process. The whole flight takes a couple of hours. To me, that would be more exciting. That would be more worth my money than 10 minutes. The 10-minute suborbital bungee jump, I just don't like the concept behind that. Now, here's another question. Let's say you're a multi-billionaire, okay? And we're looking at $40 million or $30 million to go to orbit for 3 days. Would you do that? Would you invest millions, let's say, $30 million to go to orbit for a few days? Wait for a Starship tourist flight. Yep. That very well may be very much be the issue. Yeah, it's well, let's put it this way. If it was 400 grand, I wouldn't regard it as being worth my money, especially with all the criticism that I've given to it. I guess maybe because I've been so public about it, that's kind of where my stance is as far as that's concerned. I've been so public about my criticism of Blue Origin. That's kind of where my stance is as far as that's concerned. I would wait for a better option. I'm pretty sure there would be a better option at some point, rather than going straight up on New Shepard. But we have a lot of yes votes. There's a lot of people who definitely say that they would, and you're not alone. I mean, Virgin Galactic has literally hundreds of people who have put tens of thousands of dollars down as a down payment to go up. And by the way, another thing I like about Virgin Galactic is we don't have this game that's being played where we're bidding for the first seat, bidding millions of dollars for the first seat. Everybody's paying the same amount of money to go up, and for the first passenger, until the price drops anyway. The all of these people who have put their money up front, all of them are going to end up paying the same amount. It is all going in terms with Richard Branson's idea of the democratization of space. To me, that isn't the democratization of space if you're bidding $28 million for the first seat. Not at all. Not at all. So I don't know. I find something very distasteful about the whole thing. So should kids go to space? That's a very good question. I mean, are kids eventually going to go to space? Are families going to go to space? If so, then we need to find out whether or not children can handle the G-forces just like anybody else can. Now, kids can go on high G-force roller coasters. They're allowed to do that if they're a certain height. So it depends on the age of the kid, I would think. But yeah, ultimately, I mean, any kid who goes into space is going to have to go through those major G forces. So that is going to be a serious issue that we're going to have to address at some point. We have addressed the issue of older people when John Glenn went up. That was criticized a lot by the media that he was going up because he was a senator, it was a publicity stunt, blah, blah, blah. I was so angry at the media at that time because it was important that we know if a 70-something person can go to space and what sort of impact it has on him. To me, that was an important thing. We'd never had anybody that was anywhere near that age go to space before John Glenn. So I think that that was an important mission. So in my opinion, I think that it was there was nothing, there was no publicity involved with that at all. Obviously, NASA made a big deal about it, but at the same time, that's not why they did it. I think that it was important to know what impact this would have on older people as well. We have some votes coming in on the live stream Q&A. Airborne Bob says no, he would not go up on New Shepard. By the way, thank you, Zubax. I appreciate what you just said there. Abigail Dante can't make it because okay. Sorry about that. Do I think that Virgin Galactic has more potential to gain more global coverage as its spaceports are easier to locate? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Virgin Galactic has already said that they intend to put spaceports all over the planet that people can take advantage of, that they don't all have to come to the Mojave spaceport in order to be able to fly into suborbital space. The fact that it can take off from and land at a conventional airfield makes it way more flexible, and it makes Virgin Orbit's system a lot more flexible. Obviously, there is a difference in terms of the fuel that has to be at the airport, security issues, fire suppression, all that kind of stuff. There has to be additional things that are added at an airport in order for it to be viable, but still, it's way easier to do this, from the Virgin Galactic model and the Virgin Orbit model than it is from just about any place else. And this, of course, is why Spaceport Cornwall is coming into existence. And it would not surprise me at all if Virgin Galactic decides to operate out of there as well. So anyway, by the way, just another quick reminder, on my way to California, and going to be hopefully bringing you 2 launches live. Any support I can receive would be deeply appreciated. And we have, of course, special things that pop up for folks who do super chats. And there are other ways to support me as well. Of course, then again, as I've always said, it's not your responsibility to pay my bills here, guys. So, a like and a subscribe, and I will be very happy as well. Just a quick reminder there. And I'll be leaving for California tomorrow. But very grateful to everybody who's tuned in, regardless. So thanks very much either way. 20 years of research with joyrides. Yeah, that's pretty much the only thing that that's one of my biggest criticisms of Blue Origin is the fact that New Shepard is their biggest accomplishment thus far. That's all they've managed to pull off is this, is this carnival ride. That's all that's happened is this carnival ride, this 10-minute suborbital bungee jump with an engine that is capable of carrying satellites into orbit. The New Shepard's engine is 50% more powerful than the Electron's total thrust. So it could definitely deliver small sats, but they're not doing it. Instead, they're, contributing towards, a space tourism carnival ride that they're hoping to make money off of. To me, that isn't contributing towards the exporting of heavy industry off the planet. And, what Blue Origin's mission statement is, to let's make the Earth a cleaner and safer place for the human species and take our industry into space. How the hell does New Shepard do that? All it does is make money for Jeff Bezos and his supporters, and that's about it. And I'm not behind that. I really can't get behind that. Now, there are a few scientific experiments that NASA is putting onto these carnival rides. They have a few microgravity experiments that they're going to toss onto it. That's fine. But at the same time, it's really not all that important. It's just, I don't know. Now, once again, people can, it just came in. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Gaming just jumped in. Sorry. Will space tourism be obsolete? And there's our thank you, by the way. Thank you so much for your support. Really do appreciate it. Won't space tourism be obsolete if Starship succeeds with Earth to Earth flights for less than $10,000? Yes, absolutely. It'll be completely obsolete if Starship is able to accomplish this. I think that's going to be a while, to be honest, before the point-to-point flight that they're talking about is going to become a reality. Without, it's without an abort system, until they really thoroughly test this system going point to point on the planet and making it really to proving that it's an incredibly safe system, which I think is going to take some time. I think it's going to be a while before we're going to have commercial passengers doing the whole point-to-point thing. In addition to that, I think it's also going to cost more money per passenger to start off with because SpaceX is investing a tremendous amount of money in this, a tremendous amount of money. And every flight I think is going to not be the $2 billion that Elon's talked about for a while. I think we'll eventually get there to the 2 billion, but I think in order to recoup their initial investments, they're going to need a lot more than that per flight in order to make that happen. But yes, to answer your question, if and when SpaceX is able to accomplish that, absolutely, their form of space tourism will make everything else totally obsolete. And I'm sorry, yeah, 2 million per flight. I misstated that. 2 million per flight is what Elon is actually talking about. And once again, I don't think that's going to happen for a while. I think that he could go up for 100 million a flight and it's still going to be substantially less expensive than the competition. So for a while, he's going to have to do that, I think, in order to recoup his investment, especially if he wants to pay for going to Mars. That is a super important thing, to say the least. So once again, very glad that everybody has tuned in. So yeah, I guess another show of hands here. I mean, if you're tuned into my channel, I'm pretty sure how this is going to go. But who do you think, assuming the price is roughly the same, who has the upper hand here? Is Virgin Galactic going to get the passengers, or is Blue Origin going to get the passengers, or is it going to get a 50-50 split? What do you think? How's that? What is everybody's opinion as far as that's concerned on votes? I'm interested to see what folks think about that. I enjoy people's contributions. I predict Strato launcher will be purchased by Virgin Galactic and Virgin Orbit, says Johnny Spacer. By the way, a comment coming in on live stream Q&A. Thanks very much for that. Yeah, I would say that that's very possible. Strato launcher being the system that is designed to launch heavier payloads into suborbital flight. And yeah, this could be the solution to sending up Spaceship 3. So in any event, we've got responses coming up, by the way. And I do understand, by the way, that there is a delay from me asking questions and you folks actually chatting. So I do understand that. Looks like we're getting Virgin across the board. It looks very clear that Virgin is winning off. Some people saying, we definitely have an I don't care in there, and I get it. Space tourism is a small issue, I think, for a lot of people, including myself. I think it is, one of the least important issues that we're facing right now. But I don't think it's completely unimportant. I think that what Richard Branson did talk about when he's talking about how so many countries have never sent anybody, not one person, out of the atmosphere. That makes a big difference. Thank you, by the way, Subex. Thanks so much. I really do appreciate it. Another contribution to my California journey. Thanks so much for that. So yeah, that the whole idea of democratizing space, and Sir Richard has said that he intends to bring down the price from the 250,000 or whatever roughly that he's been talking about. He's talking about bringing the price down further, maybe to 50 grand eventually or something like that, making it possible for somebody in the upper middle class or something to fly on one of these things. So yeah, that's that's an interesting situation. If he's able to do that, then maybe it makes the first steps into space a possibility for countries that don't have money to send up astronauts. A very impoverished country for 50 grand could send somebody up to do a brief microgravity experiment like NASA's doing right now on one of these flights. That would actually be useful. And we have a comment that came in from John Kovacs saying that Virgin is a death trap. And yeah, maybe it is. Maybe it is. The FAA has approved it for commercial spaceflight at this point. Apparently, they feel that it's safe enough anyway. But the question remains, just how safe is it, because it has tragically killed a person. And it killed the error that happened, the pilot error that occurred need not have occurred. For those of you unfamiliar with what happened, the co-pilot threw the lever that put the flaps on the spaceship into what's called feather mode, which is only supposed to occur when the ship is re-entering, not when it's in ascent. And so they're only supposed to unlock the flaps to go into feather mode once it hits a certain velocity. And that was never really emphasized to the pilots. They never really, it was on their instructions, but it was never really solidly emphasized. And that is that was a mistake on Virgin Galactic's part. They should have made that much more clear, and there should have been a system in place to prevent anybody from being able to put the flaps into feather mode at the velocity that they did, which was just going supersonic, I think barely supersonic at that point, and not the speed that it was supposed to. And that caused the disaster. The fact that both pilots did not die is a miracle, because that vessel completely broke up. By the way, Tobias, thank you so much for the super chat. I really do appreciate it a great deal. Once again, folks who are jumping in and doing this, very helpful to me. Flying to California is something that I really enjoy doing. I enjoy bringing you space flight in person to kind of bring you the experience, and bring you the experience of not just Starship. I mean, there's so many people bringing you Starship and bringing it to you much better than I ever could. I would like to bring you other experiences, other launches. And so what I'll be bringing, hopefully, out of this trip is going to be Virgin Orbit and also Firefly Aerospace. Firefly Aerospace is going to be pretty exciting because it has triple the thrust of the Electron. So it should actually be a fairly decent sized rocket going up there. And I think that would be a pretty exciting thing, to say the least. So very, very excited about that. By the way, United Kingdom, I am also on my way there, probably by the end of the year. I have received, and I'm not going to say from who yet, but I have received a sponsorship from, not a cash sponsorship, but a sponsorship in principle from a space corporation in the UK, from their CEO, to move my business to the UK. That doesn't mean I'm not going to be covering SpaceX stuff. I'll be coming back here for, the first stacked Starship launch. Absolutely. but you're going to be seeing a lot of what's happening in UK spaceflight up close and personal in ways that that other channels may not be able to bring you. Because I think a lot is happening in Europe right now that is not being covered, not just the UK, but in other countries as well. And I want to bring this stuff to you, and in person and live. Very excited about that, including, I'm hoping, an engine test in the fall of this year. Again, up close and in personal, closer than the public gets to go. So that's pretty exciting. We'll see. Like I say, I can't confirm it yet until I'm 100% on these things, but I've received a verbal commitment on that. By the way, I'm 127 signatures now on the keeping Jeff Bezos up in space. I love it. Boy, this thing is taken off. David Green, by the way, thank you so much for the super chat. Awesome. Thank you so very much for your support. Really do appreciate it. Okay, having a look here real quick at some of the votes coming in from, yes, Airborne Bob says Virgin Galactic will get the passengers. Andy Brown says that he agrees the whole experience is normalized. Yeah, I think the experience on Virgin Galactic will be a lot more exciting, will be a lot more, just a much more incredible experience. So that's gonna be a big deal, and I really think that if Virgin Galactic is safe, if it goes up a dozen times, let's say, and there are no incidents with it, then I think they're going to start getting the passengers, because it's just going to be so much longer and so much more exciting. Plus, the landing is going to be a lot softer. Have you seen how hard the New Shepard capsule hits the ground? I mean, it sends up this huge, explosion of dirt and debris when it hits. I mean, I can't imagine that that's going to be incredibly comfortable. Whereas the Virgin Galactic flight's going to come down with a nice landing on an airfield. It seems to me that that's going to be a not only more exciting but also more comfortable experience. But we'll see. Once again, it is hard to say. And just got another awesome super chat from, I think it's Melanfon. I believe that's what it is. Thank you so much for that. So generous for your support. And we just had 50 euros come in. Thank you so much. Some supplies coming in, as he put it, and boy, I can't even. I'll just call you. Just dropped a huge super chat on this stream. That's huge, and thank you so much for that. Wow. That was big. Thank you. I'm going back to Cali. Hey, man, I don't think so. Yeah. Well, this will be my first time in Cali. Long time. I haven't been in California since I was a teenager. So this is going to be a huge thing for me, going back to LA. Last time I was in LA was a really dangerous place. Incredibly dangerous. The whole gang warfare thing between the Crips and the Bloods was beginning to take off big time, and it's a lot more under control at the moment. So I'm real excited to see how things have changed in Southern California when I go out there. Although the majority of the time is going to be spent out in Mojave. And Supax, thanks again. Another super chat. Wow, thanks very much. I appreciate that. California, here I come. Where I started from. And just so you know, my sister's actually on the West Coast. She used to live in LA. Now she lives in Oregon. She's also lived in Hawaii. So my sister's been a West Coast gal most of her life, actually. So yeah. Yeah, I definitely have connections out there. Okay, let's see. I think it's two different experiences, by the way, when we're talking the two. My bet is most people that can afford it will try both. Interesting point of view there. And yeah, Tyler, that could indeed be the case. I'm very interested in whether or not people do try both. If they got the money, yeah, they might very well do it. By the way, we've got over 250 people watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please like, please subscribe. And we have had people dropping super chats. Thank you so much. I'm telling you, this makes a huge difference right now with the expense of this trip. So thank you so much. And Johnny comes in with his tip of the day, as he calls it. Thank you so much, Johnny Spacer. So yeah, let's see. The debris kicked up is due to the retro rockets firing to cushion landing. Yep, maybe so. Maybe so. Abrupt to me. It looks abrupt, and I don't know if the retro rockets are to soften that. I'm really not certain. All I know is that there's a reason that Crew Dragon comes down in the ocean, and they abandoned, at least currently, the notion of using the Super Dracos to decelerate and land on solid ground as opposed to putting the capsule in the ocean. Now, what does that mean for passengers? Once again, we don't really know because nobody's gone up yet. So I'll be very interested to see what people have to say. Oh, and something was just pulled up on Red Dragon. That's my partner out in Yorkshire pulled that up, and that was when, of course, for those of you who've been following SpaceX for a while, when SpaceX was planning to go to Mars utilizing Crew Dragon. Losing a little bit of the image there. It was momentary though. But yeah, Red Dragon was our plan was rather SpaceX's plan to go to Mars utilizing a modified version of Crew Dragon until it got a lot more ambitious. They were going to use the Super Dracos to land on Mars was the original concept. Still, they were originally looking at using a combination of parachutes and a retrofire to try to land on solid ground. But then they decided to go with the ocean landing instead. It is safer. It is more comfortable. It's just a more conventional way of doing things with space capsules, which is what gives such a big advantage to things that land like the shuttle did. That's what gives an advantage to Dream Chaser, and in my opinion, that's also what gives an advantage to Virgin Galactic. But yes, it is definitely a safer solution to put it down in the ocean rather than setting it down on solid ground. However, New Shepard has definitely proven, in my opinion, that this system is safe. That their 10-minute suborbital ride is a safe one. It's had one failure at the very beginning. Ever since then, it's been flawless. So, if anything can be said positive about Blue Origin, is the fact that they haven't had any serious issues with their system at all. And of course, nobody has been killed by it either. So that is definitely something to be said about Blue Origin. However, when it comes down to it, if you're exploring space and if you're testing new aircraft or spacecraft, test pilots are used to this risk. It's included in the risk for a test pilot. Any one of these guys who, saw what happened with Virgin Galactic, all of them would tell you what the situation, is with the test pilot and what they expect. They expect the danger and they are, not afraid of it. So, I'm just very, very, very thrilled that it like that Virgin Galactic has sorted out their issues. The FAA seems to believe that it's a solid system now. So I'm pretty thrilled about the situation. Tyler brings up that NASA didn't want to land that way. They wanted parachutes, and that is true once again. Safer. safer. So yeah, and yeah, it's interesting that the FAA has given a human rating, commercial passenger rating uh, to Virgin Galactic and to the VSS Unity at this point. I wasn't expecting approval until they had done at least one or two more test flights, but apparently they have succeeded. They have succeeded with in convincing the FAA that this is the way to go. By the way, there is a rumor that Sir Richard is going to try to go up on July 4th on the VSS Unity and beat Jeff Bezos into suborbital flight. That is just a rumor, but it's something that's being discussed right now behind the scenes. So that would be an interesting thing if that were indeed going to happen. So the Buran was safer than the shuttle, and all around better. Yeah, that's an interesting. The Buran, of course, being the Soviet space shuttle. My understanding was they had some issues with their life support and that sort of thing on it. That was one of the issues, and of course, by the time they had it going, the Soviet Union was in dire straits, very dire straits economically. There's a lot of things going on. With the Soviet Union. But yeah, Boron, I'm getting a comment from Yorkshire, an opinion, and this is indeed that Boron might have beaten the shuttle if the Soviet Union had not fallen. Maybe so. There's a lot of powerful arguments that it was a superior system, that it was safer, that it was more solid. So once again, it's hard to say. All we know is that it did successfully carry out unmanned test flights. Didn't have any problems during that, but at the same time, it never took a human being into space. So sadly, we will never know. Unless somebody else picks it up. I think that will be very interesting indeed. And there's apparently a total, just one thing, another shout out to Total Space. There is a short from Total Space put out by Static Fire Gal, who may be online with us right now, who does a quick rundown on the Buran. And so, apparently a very convincing case as to why it was a good ship. So in any event, check that out, because I'm positive she knows a lot more about that than I do. So that would be a neat thing to watch indeed. Oh wow, something just came in. Just going to acknowledge that real quick. Bear with me. Thanks very much. Oh, Supax again. Thanks so much. Wow. Jumping in. I don't know what to say. Thank you. Thanks so much. Wow. I appreciate you jumping in multiple times like that. I really do appreciate it. All I can do is once again say thank you, and I'm just going to keep bringing you the content. And by the way, there will be a Discord/Patreon exclusive coming up while I'm in California. So I'm going to get myself settled there, and then there'll be a Q&A with Discord folks, just like I had last Sunday, except I'll be doing it sometime next week once I get settled in California. So that will be coming up as well. The link, by the way, for the video at Total Space has just been posted. And once again, these folks are very good friends of mine. And they've done a lot for me. So if you like what I do, subscribe to them too, because they are the best. And I definitely could not say anything other than that. They do great interviews, great coverage. Definitely a good channel. So yeah, this Johnny Spacer also agrees that the USSR improved on the space shuttle. Yeah, it is. I mean, if you interview a lot of Soviet Soviet astronauts, ex-cosmonauts, and there was one in particular, a female cosmonaut, and I forget. There's only been 4 of them, sadly. but it was one who flew in the 1980s, and I'm forgetting her name. But she remains to this day a steadfast communist. She is not part of Putin's party, but actually a member of the Russian Communist Party. I'll tell you, a lot of cosmonauts are still big time supporters of the USSR and what it stood for. Of course, then again, they were at the top of the feeding chain, weren't they? The cosmonauts were really well treated. They were rock stars in that country compared to everybody else. So what they experienced in the Soviet Union compared to what everybody else experienced in the Soviet Union was two different stories. So yeah, I can see why their position would be pretty biased. Now, of course, does that mean that today's Russia is better than the Soviet Russia under Gorbachev? Who knows? But I'm not going to bring up any more politics other than that. I won't venture into that territory, merely to say that that's how a lot of cosmonauts feel, is they still feel that sense of loyalty towards the Soviet Union today. So that's just the way it is. Still trying to keep up. Oh boy, another super chat just popped up, but once again from a real American 58. All right, I'm a real American, and I definitely like to look upon myself as one as well. In spite of any criticisms I may make of our government and other things in the past, I still regard myself as a patriotic American, and but at the same time, I'm very happy about where I'm moving to as well. I kind of regard myself with the 8 times that I've been in the 8 times that I've been in the UK. I kind of feel like a citizen of both countries. I feel a sense of loyalty towards both. I've spent a great deal of my life in the UK. Love the people there, and one of the reasons why I'm moving my business there. But I will always, of course, have a strong sense of loyalty to the US as well, regardless of what happens. And it's lucky that both countries are strong allies. That's always a good thing. Been really tight allies for over a century now, so that's always been a positive thing. Okay, enough of that. And we are running out of time, by the way. Just so definitely get your comments in. We've got about 7 or 8 minutes somewhere in that vicinity. So in any event, I'm definitely hoping that we get some more comments coming in. So right now we seem to have a strong majority, unsurprisingly, saying that Virgin Galactic would be their choice, even though, and I do acknowledge this, even though it may be more dangerous. I think that it is more complex. And so therefore anything that's more complex has more points of failure, and so therefore could be more dangerous. But at the same time, if I had a choice, I would definitely go up on VG. No question at all. The experience would just be far better, in my opinion, and I'd be willing to take the risk. And yeah, there's definitely a statement that was made by Johnny, and I do agree as well. I'm no fan of the USSR either. I am a fan of some of the things that they accomplished in space. They did some amazing things in space in terms of, furthering mankind's presence. There's space stations, other things, the various Salyut stations that went up before the Mir. The Russians did a hell of a lot during the time of the Soviet Union to contribute to our permanent presence in orbit with their various series of space stations. That was a very bold thing to do. And so I am a fan of the things that they accomplished. Am I a fan of how people had to live in that country? No, definitely not. Cut off from the outside world, forbidden to speak out against the government. You go to prison for doing things like that, having zero access to outside newspapers. It was, a pretty, Gorbachev was slowly easing up on it. He was talking about increased democratization. Had he remained in power, things might have changed. But still, even during the time that he was there, it was still a repressive system. And any Russian I've ever spoken to, any Russian friend I've ever had, by the way, and I had some back in Colorado, they were not fans at all, even of Gorby. They were not fans of him either, and were very happy to get the hell out of there. Simon, thank you so much for the super chat and the 10 euros. Very, very kind of you. General work history. Wow, that is that's a question I've been asked a couple of times. I'll really quickly give that to you. I majored in history, but most of my experience is actually in telecommunications sales. I spent 7 years working in the nonprofit arena as a director of development for a drug recovery facility. That was my most recent job before I came over to do this. I spent 7 years working in nonprofit, raising money for them, and raised enough money actually to build a house for low-income women recovering from drug addiction, not only recovering, but also getting them jobs, making them self-sufficient, that sort of thing. There was a men's facility before, and I funded and managed a project to build a women's house. I loved doing what I did there, but unfortunately, the outbreak of COVID and everything else that happened in the economy meant that they couldn't keep a development officer on anymore, and I no longer had my job. So then I ended up doing this. How about that? Kind of crazy. So that's kind of quickly my background. Mostly telecommunications, and some non-profit. So yeah, no experience in aerospace, aside from the fact that my uncle worked for NASA for the vast majority of his professional career. And of course, he was my favorite uncle. I hate to be biased there, but he was, and we talked a lot about what was going on in NASA. So I was very happy about that. There will not be another chat tomorrow because I will be flying to California tomorrow, but there will be a Discord exclusive chat coming in occurring during the week while I'm in California. So this will be a weekday chat coming up, and that will be a Discord exclusive. Just so you know about that. Okay, let's see. I should have flown into Vegas. It's Vegas, baby. Yeah. I wanted to go to LAX first. I haven't been to LA in so long. I really want, and I've been to Vegas more recently. So I kind of wanted to experience LA again. So I'm very happy about that. Running short on time. So if we have some last second questions from the chat or from the live stream Q&A, I'll give you another 2 or 3 minutes, something along those lines, and then I'm going to need to cut things off at that point at an hour. So any other quick questions, real quick, from anyone? Either on Discord or from live stream Q&A. All right. Well, I will make go ahead and close by making the statement that it seems pretty obvious that at least for the people on this channel, Virgin Galactic is the space tourism system of choice. It is for me too, not necessarily because I don't like Blue Origin, but also because Virgin Galactic has an excellent long-term solution. They're looking towards turning this thing into a system to travel from place to place on the planet. Suborbital is an amazing thing, and that is something that I really believe in, and that's something that New Shepard will never do. So yeah, a few more comments and such. Do I think the first catch booster will be a success? No, I don't. That's just based on previous experiences. That'll be the last question I'll answer. There's so much involved with a new system, so many points of failure with something new that you're trying, especially when it's the most powerful rocket ever launched. That's an amazing thing. Wow. And Supax at the last second throws in one more super chat. Thank you so much, man. And thank you to everybody who has been so generous and so supportive, everyone who's subscribed, everybody who's tuned in, and everybody who's going to be tuning in on the recorded version of this. So until space tourism becomes a reality that everybody can enjoy, until the prices get to a point to where it truly is democratized and the average person, not just the wealthy people, can experience the wonder of microgravity and the wonder of everything. And Foom, thank you so much for that last second super chat. Had to make a quick mention of you. But until all of this happens, guys, I urge all of you to stay angry about